Subscribe to Defense Strike Matrix for more deep dive military and history analysis. Before we start, if you look at history, a clear pattern emerges. In the last 500 years, 3 major superpowers collapsed, and today, in 2025, the United States is following the exact same pattern, stage by stage. It's like we're reading the same script that led previous superpowers to destruction. In 1590, Spain was the richest empire in the world. It controlled half the gold and silver on the planet. All of Europe was under its influence, and its currency was accepted everywhere. Yet within just 80 years, it went bankrupt and never fully recovered. In 1914, Britain was the largest empire in human history. It was said the sun never set on the British Empire. The pound sterling was the world's reserve currency. Within just 40 years, the entire empire collapsed. In 1991, the Soviet Union was a global superpower. It had satellites, nuclear weapons, and military reach across the world. Yet in only 900 days, it collapsed not through war, but through economic implosion. 3 times, 3 superpowers collapsed in the same way. And for the United States, 5 of these stages are already complete. It is following the exact same pattern as the previous empires. Imperial collapse doesn't start with war or military defeat. It begins with economic exhaustion. Superpowers overextend beyond their ability to maintain themselves. They maintain military bases in over 100 countries, fight wars on multiple fronts, and make promises they cannot keep. At first, the decline is invisible. Currency functions, the military wins battles, and governments honor commitments. But behind the scenes, resources are misallocated, productive capacity shrinks, and intelligent people leave the country. Then comes acceleration. Allied nations switch sides, enemies test boundaries, reserve currency status erodes, and the advantages that once made a nation powerful become vulnerabilities. Your currency, once respected, starts losing trust. Your military, once spread across the globe, becomes unsustainable. Guarantees of power are reduced to hollow words. This is not theory. It happened to Spain, Britain, and the Soviet Union because they made the same decisions the United States is making today. They thought their power was permanent and denied reality until collapse reached its peak. Let's see how this unfolded exactly 3 times, starting with Spain. After Columbus discovered the Americas in 1492, Spain became the first superpower. It conquered the Aztec and Inca empires and seized the world's largest gold and silver mines. By 1550, Spanish ships were bringing 200 tons of silver per year, reaching 400 tons by 1600. Spain controlled Europe's money supply. Spanish reals were the global reserve currency. Everyone wanted Spanish silver. This is where the pattern begins. When a country controls money, it believes it is invincible. King Philip II, who ruled from 1556 to 1598, was the richest man in the world at the time and poured all his money into the Spanish Empire. Stage 1. Military overextension. Spain fought wars everywhere, against the Ottoman Empire in the Mediterranean, against France and Italy, against Protestant rebellions, against England's navy, in the Philippines and in the Americas. By 1580, Spanish troops were deployed across 4 continents, and costs were enormous. Half of Spain's revenue went to the military, yet it was still insufficient. Stage 2. Currency debasement. Unable to pay bills from taxes alone, Spain began mixing copper into silver coins. Coins that should have been pure silver became 50% copper, then 75% copper. Face value remained the same, but real value plummeted. By 1600, Spanish coins barely contained any silver. Merchants refused them at face value, and prices soared. Stage 3. Debt spiral. Spain borrowed from Italian and German bankers and anyone willing to lend. By 1557, less than 20 years into Philip's reign, Spain declared its first bankruptcy. They defaulted on loans but kept borrowing. Spain went bankrupt again in 1560, 1575, and 1596, bankruptcies in 40 years. Each time they promised reforms but failed. Stage 4. Loss of productive capacity. Despite having the world's largest gold and silver reserves, Spain collapsed because unlimited money discouraged work. Why grow food when you can buy it? Why build ships when you can purchase them? Agriculture halted, and wealth flowed abroad, paying for French wine, Italian silk, and Dutch goods. By 1600, Spain was on the brink of collapse. Stage 5. Social decay. Crime rose, streets filled with beggars, and the best minds emigrated to France, the Netherlands, and England. By 1640, Spain lost Portugal, and by 1650, the Netherlands. In less than 100 years, Spain had gone from superpower to a small nation, unable to recover and reduced today to a tourist destination. Moving 300 years forward to 1900, the British Empire was at its peak. It ruled 25% of the world and 400 million people. The pound was a global currency. Every central bank held British bonds, and London was the financial center. Yet, like Russia, Britain believed it was invincible, but it too followed the same pattern. Its reach extended everywhere: India, Africa, the Middle East, China, the Pacific, and the Caribbean. Its army was tested 6 times, but military spending was enormous. In 1914, World War I began. Britain had to choose: remain neutral or spend $40 billion, equivalent to $1 trillion today, to fight. It borrowed heavily from America, and by 1918, Britain had become dependent on the U.S. Gold reserves were nearly gone, and weapons and food were supplied to America in exchange for massive payments. By 1920, Britain's reserves returned to 1914 levels, but the pound was overvalued, making manufacturing expensive and exports fall. Factories gradually closed, unemployment rose, and interest rates were raised to defend the currency. By 1931, the pound fell over 25% in days. Then World War II began, costing $120 billion and more borrowing from America. Although Britain won the war, it could no longer afford its empire. Stage 4. Loss of empire. By 1947, India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh were lost. In just 20 years, the empire had sunk, surviving only in history books. Stage 5. Social decay. Pound devaluation continued from 1940 to 2025. Britain tried to recover, but everyone knew it was a sunken empire. Only the United Kingdom remained. The most recent example is the Soviet Union. From 1945 to 1991, it dominated the world. After World War II, the USSR emerged as a superpower with nuclear weapons, a massive military, and space infrastructure. They believed communism would defeat capitalism. For 35 years, they competed with America, producing more tanks and weapons than the U.S., but their economy deteriorated. 25% of their income went to the military, 3 times more than the U.S. At the time, Afghanistan, Syria, Vietnam, North Korea, they either fought or supported nations to counter American influence, a cost they couldn't sustain. Stage 2. Economic stagnation. By 1970, Soviet economic growth stopped. Oil revenues helped temporarily but could not sustain long-term productivity. By 1980, despite fertile land, they imported grain. Stage 3. Currency collapse. The ruble failed. Citizens began using dollars. The government had to purchase everything with gold and oil. By 1985, oil prices fell, gold reserves were depleted, and in 1989, the Berlin Wall fell. Europe slipped out of Soviet control. By 1991, the USSR collapsed in just 900 days without a single war, solely from economic failure. Now, the United States is following this pattern stage by stage. Stage 1. Military overextension. America has over 750 military bases in 80 countries and troops in 150 countries. NATO defends Europe, while America projects power in the Middle East, Asia, and counters China and Russia. Military spending exceeds $850 billion more than the GDP of 10 countries. Weapons are aging, and long-term commitments in Pakistan and Afghanistan continue. If China attacks Taiwan, Russia intervenes in NATO, or Iran acts in the Persian Gulf. The U.S. cannot handle all simultaneously. America is overburdened, just like Spain, Britain, and the USSR. Stage 2. Currency debasement. Nixon ended the gold standard in 1971, making the dollar a fiat currency. From 2000 onward, money supply increased by 400%. Over $6 trillion has been printed since 2020 alone. The dollar has lost 98% of its purchasing power since 1971, while not mixing copper into coins like Spain. The U.S. prints unlimited paper money. The mechanism differs, but the result is the same. Stage 3. Debt spiral. U.S. national debt exceeds $36 trillion. 130% of GDP. Interest payments alone exceed $1 trillion annually, meaning the U.S. now spends more on interest than on defense. Old debt must be replaced by new debt, repeating the same pattern as Spain, Britain, and the USSR. Stage 4. Loss of productive capacity. America designs and finances, but no longer produces. Manufacturing has moved to China, Vietnam, and Mexico. Annual imports exceed $800 billion, including medical supplies, electrical goods, steel, food, and even military components. Dependence on imports mirrors Spain, while dollars flow out and new currency is printed domestically. Stage 5. Social decay. Crime rises, homelessness increases, drugs claim 100,000 American lives annually, intelligent people leave, fertility collapses, and citizens grow complacent. Manufacturing and agriculture decline further. Signs of collapse are everywhere, yet many believe everything is fine, focusing instead on war and weaponry. Stage 6. Loss of reserve currency status. Allies begin to reject U.S. stubbornness, trading in other currencies. The dollar begins returning home due to reduced global demand. China, Russia, Iran, Gulf states, and other Asian nations increasingly use barter or local currencies while accumulating gold. Stage 7. Total collapse. The final stage is sudden collapse, not gradual decline. The USSR fell in 900 days. Britain lost its empire in 20 years. Spain took slightly longer, but the outcome was identical. If America starts a new war, the consequences will be unbearable.